Ukraine is now in its fourth year, and a New England organization wants to make sure the families caught in the crossfire aren't forgotten. So joining me now to talk more about this is Susan Matheson, one of the founders of Common Man for Ukraine. Susan, thanks so much for joining us today.
Good morning, Catherine. Thank you for having us.
So, Susan, later this week, I know Common Man for Ukraine will be hosting a 1-hour live free webinar that's going to be giving people some firsthand insight into what it's been like to live in the war zone in Ukraine. So tell me more about that webinar.
Absolutely. A very unique opportunity to speak not only with the two co-founders of Common Man for Ukraine, but also two teenagers living in Ukraine, suffering from having friends kidnapped into Russia, and also living with the constant threat of having to evacuate their homes permanently at a moment's notice. One is living in Kyiv right now, and the other is living and studying in Warsaw. These two teenagers have worked in our trauma counseling center and have great insights into the experience of living in Ukraine.
And as we know, I mean, this war in Ukraine, it's been going on now for years. So why do you believe it's important to host this webinar now at this point?
As the world continues to look at a variety of catastrophes, it's hard to figure out where to focus. But if all of us find one thing that seems important to us, and for us right now, it's the children of Ukraine. Even though the war is 3.5 years old, it's still continuing every day for these kids. It's still a crisis. Every day their mental health and trauma is impacted by the ongoing war. And so for us, it's always important to pay attention.
And, you know, I do want to bring up some of the things that Common Man for Ukraine has done. You guys have done a tremendous amount of outreach since the war started. I know we've spoken with your organization on a number of occasions in the past. But as a recap, tell me about some of the work you've done for Ukraine.
Well, it's really the work of thousands and thousands of donors, not just the work of Common Man for Ukraine, but together we have delivered over 4 million pounds of food to children living in frontline villages and in safe houses. And we've provided 3-week trauma counseling retreats to over 1,100 children whose fathers have been killed in the war. It's a privilege to do this work. It's an honor to meet these brave Ukrainian children and to try to make a little bit of an improvement in their lives, both in food and critical humanitarian aid and that important trauma counseling.
You know, I know for so many people, they hear about these things happening in Ukraine or anywhere overseas, and they want to do something to help. But, you know, maybe the most feasible way to do that is not hopping on a plane and going right into the middle of a war zone. How can people who are watching, who might be interested in becoming part of your effort, what's the best way for them to get involved?
The best way is to go to our website at commonmanforukraine.org. Read our stories, read about the work we do with our all-volunteer network, and if you can, make a donation. The donation page is right there. The other great thing you can do is learn more about us on Wednesday at 2 p.m., June 18th, our free webinar. That'll tell you a lot about what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Yeah, I do want to come back to that webinar. As you mentioned, it's happening Wednesday, so how can people attend that? How can they sign up to be part of that?
If you just go to our website, there's a banner at the top of the page that says sign up for the free webinar. We'll see you there. We'll be able to answer your questions directly, and also you'll be able to ask questions of these teenagers, which will be a really great chance for you to learn what is it really like in Ukraine for kids.
All right. Susan Matheson from Common Man for Ukraine, thank you for your time and, of course, for your work in this ongoing effort as well.
Thanks to everyone who makes it possible.